Consider for a moment the type of person who would spray paint dicks on cars in the staff parking lot. What do they look like? Who do they hang out with? Where do they sit in the cafeteria? What kind of grades do they get? Is this what you're imagining? Probably not. How about him? Or her? Or him? I set out to examine the case against Dylan Maxwell, to find out whether or not he was guilty of the vandalism on March 15th.
We talk about Dylan being labeled unfairly in the same way that many people are unfairly labeled in the justice system. And even though it's high school, it really reflects kind of what we see in the true crime documentaries that inspired our series. So it is kind of a don't judge a book by its cover message that applies to high school as much as it does the justice system and our society in general.
As the school year winds down and Dylan Maxwell's criminal hearing approaches, the videos from Nana's party allowed us to narrow our pool of suspects.
With the trailer, a lot of people laughed at the trailer. They didn't know it was a real show, a lot of people. They see this and they know that Funny or Die is behind it, like, okay, this is a 3-minute sketch. And so the most rewarding response is people who stick through it all the way and say, I didn't expect to be moved or to actually feel for this character who draws ball hair penises on cars. So like that's my favorite response, is people who actually are surprisingly affected by it.
If we want people to take us seriously, then we have to do our due diligence. And
Dude, it's a joke. Relax.
no, I don't want this doc to be a joke. I put a lot of work into this.
So we ended up cutting a fair amount of jokes because we wanted to make sure the audience was watching for the mystery, just like you do with Serial or Making a Murderer. You're constantly back and forth like, yeah, but this looks good, this looks bad. And as if that's your driver about whether or not there's an injustice, then you can be way more subtle with the jokes, because that's not what the audience is looking for. So the people who have my favorite response are the people who just like really respect the commitment we had to not having punchline jokes and zany characters and just kind of playing it as straight as we could.
No one's gonna believe me, are they?
I've never told a story about a real person before. I've never sat across from someone with so much to lose. His college acceptance, his girlfriend, his future. I wanted to tell Dylan that people would believe him. I wanted to tell him that everything would be fine.
When it comes to the storytelling, there's two facets where we were pulling from true crime documentaries as opposed to other television mysteries. That was all of our reference. And then we looked at, Freaks and Geeks or Dazed and Confused and all of these high school stories that are kind of timeless. And that was fun too, because that's what we want to do. We want to tell a story about a high school in 2017 through the lens of a true crime investigation.
I didn't find the evidence I was looking for, but the evidence I did find could change everything.
I think we also had a lot of conversations about why are these true crime documentaries so successful right now in this day and age. And I think more than ever, we seem to be really fascinated by injustice on any level. Like that's something that terrifies us as a society and fascinates us as a society. So we just kind of wanted to explore that in the most juvenile way possible. So sort of Trojan horsing a story about injustice through a dick joke was the goal from the offset.